The New England Patriots just walked out of Cincinnati with a 26-20 win, but it feels nothing like a celebration. On paper, they are 10-2, they have won 9 straight, and they sit on top of the AFC, yet the vibe around this team is closer to shock than joy. This was the kind of game where you keep checking the score to remind yourself they actually won, because every time another player went down, it felt like the season was taking a heavy body shot. Everything changed the moment Will Campbell hit the turf and stayed there, emotional, teammates kneeling around him as the cart rolled out and the stadium went silent. Before that, you had already watched Jared Wilson leave with an ankle in a boot and crutches, Brendan Schooler limping away in his own boot, and big man Khyiris Tonga heading to the sideline with a chest issue. All while the defense is still missing Milton Williams. For a team that people kept calling lucky with injuries, this looked like the bill arriving all at once, with your starting left tackle and the entire left side of the line suddenly in serious question. That is why this win feels so strange, because at the center of it all is Drake Maye, who just dragged this team to another result while knowing his blindside might never look the same again. The Patriots are still in control of the conference, but their path just got a lot more dangerous, and every snap from here on will test how calm their young quarterback really is under fire. The crazy part is that this night started with Drake Maye looking completely off, missing throws we almost never see him miss, and that is where the real story begins. But before we get into that, hit like and subscribe button for more Patriots and all the NFL content. Can we get 200 likes on this video? The New England Patriots just watched Drake Maye open this game looking like a completely different quarterback, and not in a good way. From the first series, the ball was sailing, timing was off, and that brutal pick six turned an early hole into real doubt about how this night might end. Missed checkdowns to Tre'Veyon Henderson, an overthrown shot toward the tight end in the seam, and passes behind open targets had the Bengals crowd sensing a meltdown from a second-year quarterback who usually looks ice cold. What changed the game was not some crazy stat line. It was how Drake Maye reset his mind and mechanics when everything around him felt shaky. He stopped forcing hero throws and started taking smart ones, hitting Hunter Henry on crossing routes, trusting short gains to keep the chains moving, and sliding in the pocket instead of bailing at the first sign of pressure. The numbers say 294 yards on 22 of 35 with 1 touchdown and 1 interception. But the real story is how he turned a nightmare opening into calm, controlled football in the second half. Third and medium suddenly became chances for him to punish the defense, and every time he extended a play and found a receiver, you could feel the entire sideline breathe again. That poise is the only reason this win was even possible once the offensive line started falling apart. Because Drake Maye had to trust protection that changed on the fly and still deliver in the biggest downs of the night. He did not need a perfect box score to show why this team believes he can carry them through chaos. He needed drives that ended in points when everything felt unstable. The next step in this story is just as important, because even a special quarterback cannot do it alone. And this game quietly turned into a showcase for how Hunter Henry, Pop Douglas, Stephon Diggs, and the rest of this group had to become lifelines for their quarterback when the run game and the left side of the line started to crack. While everyone looks at Drake Maye and the final score, the quiet truth from this game is that Hunter Henry kept the New England Patriots offense breathing when nothing else was working. Every time the drive felt stuck, there was Hunter Henry slipping across the field, boxing out a linebacker, and turning a simple route into a momentum swing. That stat line of 7 catches for 115 yards and 1 touchdown was not empty production. It was the difference between punting and staying on the field on a night where the run game could not carry anything. It was not just Hunter Henry either. The roll guys stepped into the spotlight when the Bengals sold out to erase Stephon Diggs. Pop Douglas delivered one of the plays of the night, tracking that deep ball from Drake Maye for 37 yards, right when the offense was staring at a long third down early in the second half. Stephon Diggs was doubled for most of the game, and the box score shows 2 catches for 20 yards, but one of those came on a massive 3rd and 10 where he finally shook loose and moved the chains in the fourth quarter. Add in tough grabs from Austin Hooper and Mac Hollins, and you had a passing group that refused to disappear even when the coverage leaned hard toward their star. Those connections mattered even more once it became clear that the Patriots could not simply lean on their backs at the goal line and finish drives on the ground. The chemistry between Drake Maye and his pass catchers kept putting the ball inside the 5, yet the offense kept walking away with field goals, or nothing at all. That is where the story turns from clutch throws to frustrating play calls, because the most painful part of this night might not be the hits taken in the injury report. It might be how many chances the Patriots wasted inside the 1-yard line and the 4th down choice by Mike Vrabel that still has fans arguing about it. The New England Patriots had chance after chance to put this game out of reach, and every time they got inside the 1-yard line, the entire offense seemed to freeze. You watched Drake Maye drop a perfect deep ball to Pop Douglas, saw the flag on the shot to Kayshon Boutte that moved the ball right to the doorstep, and still the ball never crossed the line. Power looks with Tre'Veyon Henderson, straight dives for Ramondre Stevenson, play action toward Hunter Henry, even a second set of downs after another defensive penalty, and nothing worked. The shocking part is that this was not some elite front standing them up. This was a defense that had been giving up easy scores in this exact part of the field all season. That is what made Mike Vrabel and that 4th and goal choice so hard to digest for a lot of fans. After watching the offense slam into a wall on multiple snaps inside the 1, Mike Vrabel passed on the short field goal and trusted another inside run that never had a real chance. If you are going to be aggressive in that moment, you usually want the ball in the hands of Drake Maye or Hunter Henry, not buried in a crowded pile that had already stuffed you all dry. The decision lined up with the fearless mindset he has shown all year, but this time the context was different. The flow of the game was screaming for points, and the call left people arguing whether the head coach trusted his quarterback enough when it mattered most. Now the pressure shifts to Josh McDaniels, because this is not a one-night glitch. It is a pattern that gets louder every time the Patriots walk away with 3 or 0 after Drake Maye has moved them all the way down the field. With injuries reshaping the left side of the line and bigger games ahead, the offense has to find new red zone answers fast, whether that means more spread looks, motion, or designed runs for the quarterback in space instead of slamming into the same brick wall. The wild part is that even with all these missed chances, New England still had a real shot to control this game. And that only happened because the defense found a way to hold Cincinnati to limited damage on the scoreboard, which opens up a whole different conversation about what this unit got right and what should still worry you. The strange part about this result is how the New England Patriots defense can hold a team to 13 offensive points and still leave everyone uneasy. On the surface, it looks like a solid outing. Joe Flacco never found any real rhythm, drives stalled, and Cincinnati finished 3 for 13 on 3rd downs. That kind of stat line usually screams control. Yet while the scoreboard stayed under control, the way the Bengals moved the ball at key moments made it feel like 1 or 2 mistakes could flip everything, especially with the offense wasting so many chances earlier. What saved the night were a few massive plays in coverage that flipped the script right when it felt like momentum was slipping. Marcus Jones read Joe Flacco perfectly on that swing route, jumped the throw, and took the pick all the way back to cancel out the earlier mistake from the offense. On the final Bengals possession, he closed the door again, attacking the ball in the air and knocking it away to seal the win. Carlton Davis had his own roller coaster, giving up a flag on T. Higgins earlier, but then stacking pass breakups on that last drive, showing short memory and real confidence when the game was on the line. Those moments are why this defense can look frustrating for long stretches and still feel like it has a clutch gene built in. Up front, it was a very different story, and that is where the worry starts to grow. Without Milton Williams anchoring the middle, Chase Brown gashed them for 107 rushing yards, and Cincinnati finally became the first team this season to push one runner past the century mark. There were flashes from Harold Landry, Christian Barmore, Jack Gibbons, and Clavon Chason, but the pass rush rarely took over and the interior felt softer than it has in weeks, which is not what you want to see with tougher opponents ahead. Now mix that with the injuries piling up on both sides of the ball, and you start to see the bigger question forming. It is not just about one ugly game on defense. It is about how all of these losses in the trenches might force the Patriots to change who they are over the next month. For weeks, people kept pointing at the New England Patriots and saying they were riding some kind of injury luck, staying healthier than most contenders while stacking wins. That conversation looks foolish now. This team had already lost Milton Williams to injured reserve before they even landed in Cincinnati, taking away their most disruptive interior defender right as the schedule was getting serious. Then, this game arrived, and it felt like every hidden layer of depth was tested at once, turning a normal regular season matchup into a night where the long-term health of the roster suddenly became the real storyline. The sight that shook everyone was Will Campbell needing help to reach the sideline, then leaving on the cart with a towel over his head. Because when your starting left tackle needs that level of support, you know the stakes are bigger than one box score. Not long before that, Jared Wilson had already left the field and later appeared in a protective boot while leaning on support, a bad sign for the starter on the inside of that same side of the line. On top of that, core special team ace Brendan Schooler was also seen in a boot. Interior defender Kyrus Tonga exited with a chest issue, and even veteran tackle Morgan Moses had to step away for a stretch due to illness before gutting it out and returning. One by one, key pieces in the trenches and on special teams were removed from the board, which is exactly where a physical team like this can least afford to be thinned out. Now, every discussion about this season has to include the reality that New England might have to survive a meaningful stretch without some of the players who helped build this 10-2 start. The left side of the offensive line could look completely different for weeks. The defensive front has to keep holding up without Milton Williams and possibly Kyrus Tonga at full strength, and special teams will need new leaders with Brendan Schooler banged up. The bye is still not here yet. The Giants are coming next on Monday night, and that makes the next question obvious and tense at the same time. The New England Patriots now sit at 10-2 with 9 straight wins, standing alone at the top of the AFC while most of the league is still fighting just to stay in the race. On the surface, it looks like the perfect story. A second-year quarterback in Drake Maye, a new culture, and a record that already blew past almost every preseason prediction. But the deeper you look, the more fragile it feels, because that climb came with clean pockets, a healthy left side, and a defense that had its stars available when it mattered most. Now that foundation is cracked, and every snap from this point on has a different kind of pressure attached to it. The next chapter hits fast with primetime against the Giants, no bye week yet, and a roster that has to regroup on the fly while still protecting that number 1 seed. Drake Maye has already shown he can drag this team through ugly nights, but he cannot do it alone if the red zone issues keep showing up, if protection on his blind side stays shaky, and if the front 7 keeps feeling the loss of Milton Williams and others against the run. This stretch is going to test how well the coaching staff can adjust, how quickly guys like Vidarian Lowe and Ben Brown can settle in, and how much more players such as Hunter Henry, Pop Douglas, Stefon Diggs, Tre'Veon Henderson, and the rest of the core can carry while everyone waits for better health news. So now the real question for fans is not just about the win streak, it is about belief in what comes next. Do you see a battle-tested group that will tighten up the details? Lean on Drake Maye and ride this start all the way through January? Or do you worry that the hits on the injury report are the first signs of a slide that opens the door for the rest of the conference? Drop your number in your own mind from 1 to 10 on how confident you are right now. Because the story of this season is about to shift from how the Patriots got to 10-2 to whether they can hold on to everything they have earned when the games and the stakes get even bigger.